cold as a razor blade.
Episode of the Snake Pit, but unfortunately this week we were unable to record a new episode. Jake and I could not align our schedules. We are actually recording this Thursday as this episode is coming out, and we're gonna have a really fun, cool, interesting episode where we're doing something a little bit different than usual, so stand by for that. But for this week we are still doing something really fun. You know, the last time we had to do one of these, we took a look back at one of Jake's greatest rivalries, which was with Rick Rude. And now this week, we're going to have another look at another one of his greatest rivalries with a wrestling icon. I'm talking about Andre the Giant and the epic rivalry that he and Jake had all the way up through WrestleMania 5. So Jake and I covered it all, and we're going to combine all those episodes to kind of give you the full comprehensive story of that rivalry. And I hope you guys enjoy it. We will be back next week with a new episode right here with the Snake Pit. We'll launch into our topic, and we are reaching back to 1988 again. You only get that 35-year anniversary once, and this time we're talking about something pretty interesting that happened between yourself and Andre the Giant on the March to Survivor series. Let's go ahead and get into these notes, Jake. One of the more notable things happening at this time is that JCP and Turner have reached an agreement, and all of a sudden the NWA is backed by an awful lot of money. There are a lot of question marks surrounding the future of the promotion at this time, but one thing is for certain: they're going to be looking to add talent and put out the best possible product. So, Jake, to this point in your career, you had done a lot of moving around from territory to territory, and I know that you were getting tired of the hard miles with the WWF. At this time, when you're hearing this news, like, okay, Ted Turner and all of his billions of dollars are backing the NWA, was there any time that you were like, hey, maybe the grass is greener?
No, there wasn't. Not at the time, man. I was locked in on WWF, and that was it.
I kind of knew the answer to that question going in. I mean, gosh, what a crazy amount of success and mainstream publicity you were getting with the WWF. So it'd be hard to just say, yep, that's enough of that. I'll move on and see what else I can do.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to get off the best pony running,
Yes, sir. You were on it, and a couple of other big names were about to jump on that same pony. They're coming from JCP, of course, and it's Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard. Arn apparently called Vince after a payoff from Crockett Jr. came in at about half of the amount that he was promised. And Arn and Tully are here in the WWF. They're considered one of the greatest tag teams of all time. What do you think of them coming in as the Brainbusters?
Well, I thought it was great. I mean, I certainly have all the respect in the world for their work. But, Vince's animal was a different pony, man. And it was hard to ride sometimes.
Mm.
You look at it, you can't really expect the Bushwhackers to do a whole lot for them. They're not going to do a whole lot of wrestling.
Right.
It's not going to be very serious. And that was the thing about Tully and Arn. Their whole shtick was just solid damn wrestling.
Yes.
To bring it along to what you have today, it'd be like, what was it, FTR?
Yes, sir.
Getting them in the ring against some of these fly guys, man, you wouldn't think it'd be a good marriage, but it is, because FTR, they will take their thing to wherever it needs to be. They will make it work.
Mm-hmm.
And they're excellent at what they do. They blow me away all the time, man.
And they are very often considered the modern day Arn and Tully. And I know that they draw those comparisons a lot. And those guys both admit that FTR both admit that they watch their work and kind of mimic what Arn and Tully were doing. So, I mean, hard to do much better than those two. They were great. I mean, as they were coming in the door, you had been around them prior in your career. Were you surprised to see the kind of success they had leading up to their WWE debut, or did you always know that those guys were going places?
Those guys were going places from the get-go, man.
Yeah, hard not to see it. I mean, just the raw skill that the two of them had and the opportunities they got, just incredible. Now, Jake, gun to your head, if you had to pick one, who's the better worker of the two, in your opinion?
Well, I like Arn. He's got a special spot for me, and he just was a phenomenal worker and had so much to give. I don't know if they got everything that he had to offer, but he damn sure gave him a lot.
Yes, he did, and continued to give a lot whenever he returned to WCW after just a year with the WWE. So he's a big what could have been. Him and Tully both, with their run in the WWF. Apparently, during their first appearance, they were throwing up the four fingers and getting a big reaction from the crowd, but they were told to leave that horseman shit in the past. Where are you when it comes to Vince wanting to eliminate gimmicks from other territories, even when the gimmick is super over with the audience?
I don't see the reason why he wanted that, but it's his horse, and he's going to paint it up and put it out there the way he wants it.
He certainly did and always does. Sometimes he gets a strike, sometimes it's a gutter ball.
Yeah, you damn right.
Well, Jake, something else that's getting over with the audience is what you're doing with Rick Rude. However, that rivalry is about to come to an end. Saturday night's main event is taped in Baltimore on 10/25, and you'll score a win by DQ when Heenan interferes. The real story, though, is what happens after the bell rings. Let's drop in on this.
Rude has to be out like a light. And what's Bobby Heenan doing? He was up, the tanks are coming down. Look how stupid Roberts is. Instead of going for the pin, he went after the tights, and Heenan forced to interfere. Forced to interfere. This match is going to result in a That's who he was. Heenan was waving for Andre the Giant to come down in ringside. That's who he was waving at just a moment ago. I want to see how Jake handles this situation, McMahon. Bobby Heenan's going to be in trouble here. Heenan now on one leg. Hurry up, Andre. Andre coming in. The match officially over, and Andre starting to hammer away. That's not fair. Andre is 500 pounds. He's 7 feet and 4 inches tall. Look, headbutt. Crushing headbutt. And Snake's out on the floor where he belongs, looking like a snake. Andre the Giant and Bobby Heenan concerned as to the physical well-being of ravishing Rick Rude. Rude suffering the DDT, and anytime any man goes down as a result of a DDT, you can look for serious neck injury. He could be knocked unconscious. Wait a minute, Jake back up on his feet. He's coming back into the ring. And look what he had. Oh, this ought to be good. Heenan stepped to the outside. You think Damien's ready for a giant? I don't know. Look at this. What's going on here? Andre is not moving in. Andre normally would be attacked. Is he backing off? Well, wait a minute. Andre the Giant with his hand outstretched. I'm not too sure. He may not want to have anything at all to do with Jake and Damien. Andre looking down at Bobby. He doesn't like that at all, I think he said. Andre yelling for Bobby. Yelling for Heenan. I've never seen this before. Oh, wait a minute. You know, Jesse, I think he's afraid. Yes, he's terrified. I didn't think the Giant was afraid of anything. Andre the Giant looks like he's terrified of that snake. Look at this. I wouldn't have believed it, McMahon. Andre backing off. Jake the Snake taunting Andre the Giant with that python, Damien. Moving, oh no, it's all around the Giant, look at this. Damien the Snake touching, it's choking Andre the Giant. Andre going down. You know, this is horrible, McMahon. I've said it before, there's no place for stuff like this in the world of wrestling. Andre the Giant down on the canvas, and Jake putting Damien all over him. Andre touching his chest. Andre is just terrified. He's terrified of the Snake. Jake back over, putting Damien. Oh no, look at this. Down in the crotch area. I can't believe how sadistic Jake is. It's obvious Andre's now. Out. Jesse, Andre is unconscious. He's been scared to death, or he's scared unconscious. Look at this. He is unconscious.
Right in the crotch area, Jake.
What can I say?
You play the hits when it comes to stuffing the snake down people's trunks and wrapping around their crotch. It was good stuff.
Yeah, it's all shits and giggles, man. I just bring the attention to what Andre did there, of how Andre reacted. He sold that like $1 million. You know, he did everything perfect. It was perfect. And I remember him going down, and the snake was coming off of him, and then Heenan is is massaging his chest, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he starts pounding his chest, trying to get his heart to go. And I can't remember who it was, though. They came up to ringside with him, and they said, Bobby, maybe you should give him mouth to mouth. Fuck you. We got a dead giant.
Oh, that is great.
Off on that.
God almighty. God knows that he was backstage probably drinking a couple bottles of wine too. So I don't imagine that would be a pleasant experience.
At least 2 bottles.
My goodness. I mean, the whole thing though, the faked heart attack, like what were your thoughts on the angle when it was brought to you?
I didn't see it. When they told me I was going to be working with Andre, I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? The size difference.
Yeah.
I mean, I was 265 then, and I was half the size of him. Half.
Wow.
So how is he going to make this work? And he did. You know, we had our little head-to-head or face-to-face moment in the very beginning. He went out the first time that we worked together and just absolutely guzzled me. Chewed me up and spit me out. In fact, it was in Los Angeles where it happened. And I was so angry, so infuriated. I'll tell you how angry I was. I was so fucking angry that I went to his locker room and yelled at him.
Take some balls.
That was fucking idiot. I'm lucky I didn't die. But true to measure, he just looked at me and went, now we're okay, boss. That was it.
Awesome. He
just wanted to check me out and see if I had balls and see if I was going to stand up to him. And I did. And I remember whenever I walked in and started yelling, all the agents took off. They didn't want to be in the room when Andre was going to beat the shit out of me.
Man, good for you for standing up to him. And like when you say that he guzzled you, for the sake of our audience, are you saying that he was out there and being really physical with you, or he just didn't give you anything in the ring?
Didn't give me a damn thing. It was a little physical too. You know, obviously the man could have just choked me out anytime he wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
Or done anything he wanted. I mean, you're completely powerless with Andre.
Man, guy that size, you're right. You're like a little doll in his arms. He can essentially treat you however he likes to. And yeah, I mean, you said it here. You know, he forced everybody to earn his respect based on what you've heard and what I've heard from everybody else. Did you know that he had that reputation whenever you're stepping into the ring with him?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
All I've heard is some of the horror stories, you know, with Big John, Stud, and with the Sheik.
Not to mention Savage. I know that he was really rough on him. So, yeah, it's you had your work cut out for you, right?
Yeah, damn sure did, man.
Now, you've talked before about protecting Andre in the ring by making sure that he stays close to the rope so he can support himself. I know that you yourself at this time were having some serious neck issues, and you'd go and have surgery by 89. How were you protecting yourself in matches with a guy that size?
You know, that's the sad thing, the way your body works. You can be physically in pain and hurting just really bad. You know, maybe you can't even lift your arm, but when that bell rings, all that pain goes away.
Wow.
And you're able to lift that arm again. You know, that's the bad thing about adrenaline, man. That's the most powerful drug in the world, adrenaline.
Wow.
When that adrenaline hits your body, brother, you become Superman. You know, and in the ring with Andre, brother, I would lay him in. You know, I would knock the dog shit out of him. Of course, he didn't know it. But I did. It's just really frustrating, man. Just, you know, you're trying to beat the shit out of somebody and they don't even know that you're pissed off and trying to hurt them.
Man, a guy that size, yeah, it's probably like getting, me getting hit by my toddler. It's just nothing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, he did some things to me. He used to knock me down on my back. And then he would come and put his feet on either side of my head.
Oh, no.
Stand on my hair. And then he would come down and grab my arms and pull.
Oh, no.
He called it a giant haircut. My hair would just go flying.
Oh, God.
Just rip it right out.
And
laugh while he's doing it.
To him, that's just being silly. It's not like coming after you.
Yeah.
Oh,
Another
Jesus.
time he knocked me into the corner and crushed me. I went down on my back and I turned over on my side and he sat on me. And he's holding onto the ropes and he's laughing. So the referee says, Andre, why are you laughing? Because that was a no-no in the ring,
Mm-hmm.
Andre said, I'm farting. And when he said it, I started paying attention and I could feel my shoulder vibrating.
Oh, no.
That's because he was farting.
Oh, Jesus.
He must have farted for 40 seconds, man. It was crazy how it went on. It was just like,
oh, my God.
I mean, I don't know how many buckets of shit went flying through them drawers of his, but man.
How are you not like throwing up?
Oh, no, I was scared to throw up.
Oh, God. I bet you were missing Rick Rude.
Yeah, I was, but I really enjoyed wrestling, Andre. It was certainly a golden moment in my career to be able to go out and perform in front of people and actually have the people believe I had a chance to actually beat him.
Mm-hmm.
If you'd told me early in my career that someday I would face Andre the Giant, I'd have laughed my ass off at you.
My goodness.
Because are you shitting me, Andre the Giant? No friggin' way, man. That'll never happen.
Let alone at WrestleMania, as you would go on to face him.
Absolutely.
I mean, yeah, and win, like, just incredible.
Yeah, I mean, who the hell gets to say that?
Not a lot of people. Incredible. Now, was Andre actually afraid of snakes?
Hell no.
Nothing scared him, I'm sure.
I tell you what happened one night. We were wrestling. The snake got on him, and the snake bit him.
Oh, wow.
On his shoulder. So, and the same snake bit me on the hand. And after I got the snake under control, I went to his locker room to check on him. But I'm thinking, man, I'm going to go in there and he's going to be pissed off, man. I'm going to be careful going in here. So I kind of peek in the door, and I'm like, Andre, yeah, boss. Are you okay? Well, I'm okay. Why? And I said, well, and about that time, Rick Rude walks up. Andre's sitting down. He goes, Andre, that goddamn no good snake bit you, man. No. And Rick Rude reaches over and pulls the fangs out of Andre.
Oh, my God.
He broke 2 fangs off that were about 1.5 inches long. Broke them off his shoulder. Andre didn't even know it.
I mean, his skin is getting pierced. No wonder he's not feeling your punches. This dude is just like impenetrable.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, you would continue to work with Rude on house shows, and he'd face you as part of the Survivor Series. But this is essentially the blow-off of the angle. Again, it's a DQ finish, and it's on Saturday night's main event. If it had been up to you, you had your full choice. Vince was going to turn over the angle to you. Would the program have ended at SummerSlam, or would you have pushed it to WrestleMania?
I would have liked to have seen it go all the way to Mania.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe do something special. I don't know. A cage match or something. because our work together was phenomenal.
Yes.
And nobody could see through what we were doing. But sometimes, you can be so good that it hurts you. Because the powers that be want to bring you down a notch or two because you're gaining too much ground over the other talent. And you're making it hard for them to compete with you.
I think you make a really good point, Jake, because at this time they're really pushing the Mega Power storyline with Hogan and Savage, and here you and Rude were taking an awful lot of attention from them.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, what a bummer it wasn't at SummerSlam, which was just a layup. We talked about that a few episodes back, and then I would have loved to have seen it make it to Mania, but I'll say at least you got to work with Andre at Mania. That's a pretty huge win.
I'm not going to complain about it.
Absolutely. Well, the end of your angle with Rude also spells the end of Cheryl's time on the road with the WWF. Was there ever any discussion about keeping her around as your valet?
No, unfortunately there wasn't.
How did you feel about seeing her go after getting to spend so much time with her on the road in '88?
Made it tough, man.
Yeah.
I'd gotten used to her being there, and people don't know how hard it was to leave your family at home and go on the road for 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, maybe even 80 or 90 days.
Yeah.
Without seeing them. And we didn't have cell phones back then. There was no FaceTime.
Right.
And Southern Bell made a lot of damn money off of me with the phone bills we had.
Oh, God.
Because you call home every night, and that's not enough. You don't get much time to talk. You don't get to talk about problems or how you're feeling. And, you're on the road and your hands are tied. And no matter what you say, it's not going to take care of the issue.
Mm-hmm.
You're on the road. You're trying to make a living. You're trying to hang in there. And the wife and children are left at home, and it sucks. It really sucks. I would have loved to have had the opportunity to work the schedule that the guys are working today.
Oh, gosh.
Kidding me? They work one time a week. One time a week. And that doesn't happen to very many. Usually it's a couple of times a month is all they get.
Yep. A lot of talent under contract, and like you said, working maybe once every 2 weeks, once a month, something like that. And it's nobody's fault. It's just the nature of the business nowadays. But man, it's holy smokes. That's it could have really saved you on bumps.
Oh my God, man. I can't imagine. And plus, the biggest thing is that you get to go home.
Yep. And when you were talking about that, I was thinking about like, oh yeah, there's no cell phones back then. So like Jake would have to leave the arena, and if he wanted to call his wife or talk to his kids, he's got to go find a phone.
Yeah.
And finding a phone at whatever 10 o'clock at night, maybe not always the easiest thing.
No, or if you're at the hotel, then the hotel screws you on the call.
Mm-hmm.
They throw in their 50% upgrade.
And even if you get through, kids are in bed, it's 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah, it's tough, man. I know from my end, it was extremely hard to not be able to talk to my kids, and it was extremely hard not to be able to hold my wife.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, rough days.
Well, God bless you, man. You were out there trying to make a living for your family and doing a hell of a job of it. And another guy who's the next guy to come over from JCP is actually a guy that we had on the show with us last week, Ronnie Garvin. Man, what a treat it was to talk to Ronnie last week, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun talking to Ronnie, man. I love that guy so much, man. God, he looks great, don't he?
Gosh, I mean, he looks like $1,000,000. And to your point, Jake, I'd never talked to him before. I just called him out of the blue to see if he wanted to come on the podcast. Could not have been a nicer human being. And man, just what an honor to welcome him onto this show.
Yeah, it was. It was a lot of fun, man.
Well, he's coming in, and he's coming in as rugged Ronnie Garvin. When you hear that he's coming in the door, are you automatically thinking like, "Hey, maybe I could work a program with him again"?
Oh man, I thought it right off the bat, but then whenever he came in and I seen the way he was being used, I was like, well, that's never going to happen. Put a referee shirt on him, for Christ's sake.
It's kind of a tough question, but I'm curious. If it had been up to you, would you rather have worked a program with Andre all the way to Mania, or would you have rather started one with Ronnie as he's arriving?
Ronnie.
Gotta be right. Do you think, I mean, there's no blood at the time. Do you think it would have still been as effective?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm sure you guys could work in a hard way here and there.
Oh yeah.
Well, you cut promos with your Survivor Series team in the early part of the month, and the team includes co-captain Jim Duggan, Ken Patera, Tito Santana, and B. Brian Blair. Unfortunately, Blair would apparently be handed a pink slip by McMahon before Survivor Series, which would lead to an alleged backstage confrontation between the two. Jake, I recently saw this picture of the two of you working together in Florida, and I had to add it to the show. Were you close with Brian at all?
No, it wasn't, man. He kind of ran with a different crowd. He was buddies with Hogan, and I didn't fit in.
I got you. Okay, I thought maybe there was like, okay, you guys were in Florida together. Maybe you guys were buds.
No,
Um, did you think that the Killer Bees thing had just run its course by then?
yeah, it had. Yeah, it had.
I,
Not because they couldn't work, because him and Brunzell were a great team.
mm-hmm.
But if you're not picked to win, you're not going to win.
That's it. You've got to have good creative to go along with those great skills. So, and maybe they weren't quite there. Blair would be replaced by Scott Casey on your team in a decision that Bruce Pritchard referred to as a desperation move. Was this the only time in your career you spent any time around Casey?
Yeah, I met Casey back in the day, but back in the day, he was in the main event, and he didn't have much time for a tall, skinny kid like me.
Well, speaking of the main event, we're getting to the main event of this podcast here. But before we get there, I wanted to get your opinion on this. The biggest storyline, as I mentioned, as we're heading into this pay-per-view, is the Mega Powers and the slow building jealousy between Savage and Hogan. So, Jake, at this time, you're having this great issue with Rude over your wife. Savage is having an issue with Hogan over his wife. Do you think there's a possibility that this might be some kind of a fetish for Vince McMahon?
He just liked to see turmoil between husbands and wives.
Yeah, I'm thinking so too. He's even done it here in recent years, so it's a go-to for him. I think fans pretty much universally love Macho Man. I know you did, but over the years, we've all heard things about Savage's insane levels of jealousy and how protective he was of Liz. What kind of stuff were you seeing behind the scenes with that, Jake?
Well, I've seen a lot of it, man. He was very, very, very jealous. And, he's got to be protective, but you can take it too far, and he certainly took it too far. But, that was his life and his relationships, so how can I speak about that? And I'm not going to.
Well, we've talked before about the kind of Shark Tank environment behind the scenes in the WWF at this time, and as I mentioned, you just had your wife running with you there for a while. Would you say that you were protective of her, trying to keep people away, anything like that?
I had my eye out there.
What man wouldn't?
Yeah, well, a lot of it goes with the way that your wife handles the situation. And I knew that my wife would handle the situation. I wasn't worried about that. She's a strong woman.
Well, we always hear that wrestlers at this time wanted to be on the Hogan card when they were on the house show loop because Hogan would draw a bigger house, which meant, of course, larger payoffs. Did you feel like Savage was drawing as well as Hogan had been during this championship run?
No.
Hard to compete, right?
No, he couldn't draw. He couldn't draw with Hogan.
Do you think that Savage was feeling the pressure of being the flag bearer of the company at this time?
Yeah, of course he was. I mean, you got to remember, Randy's not 6'5",
Right.
you know, and he wanted that top spot more than anything.
And he's got it, but then all of a sudden it's like, you know, maybe you're not drawing as well as you had hoped, or certainly not drawing as well as your predecessor. And like, you know, and you said he's not 6'5". He's also like, he's in great shape, super muscular guy, but he's very thin. He probably goes, you know, maybe a little bit over 200 pounds at this time. I think they were billing him around 230, but there's no way he weighed that. Right. So, I mean, God, it's got to just be incredible pressure on him. So no wonder he's acting like a maniac. Well, we can get to Survivor Series. It's the Richfield Coliseum on Thanksgiving Day in 1988 in front of more than 13,000 people. In your match, you'll be facing the team of Andre, Rude, Dino Bravo, Mr. Perfect, and Harley Race. Race is just coming off surgery on, I believe it was his bowels, but according to Meltzer, he was looking pretty decent in his matches. Jake, what can you tell us about stepping into the ring with a performer like Harley Race?
Well, I had the pleasure of wrestling Harley years before. I wrestled with Harley back in 1977.
Wow.
In Calgary, Alberta.
No shit.
We actually wrestled to a 1-hour draw.
I'm blown away that you did a draw with him, especially that earlier in your career.
Did 3 of them with him.
3 draws with Harley Race.
And brother, what a workout.
I mean, Harley is known to be, you know, he was a party guy himself at times, a heavy drinker, heavy smoker. How's he doing on a 1-hour match?
He had no problem. Like walking through the park.
And I mean, you've told me before that during your time in Calgary, you maybe weren't quite the Jake the Snake you would come to be as far as your skills and knowledge of the business. How were you hanging in there with a guy like Harley?
Well, it was real simple. He took me by the hand and led me right through it. You know, he was the ultimate performer, and he would make you a superstar just by getting in the ring with him. You know, if people ever doubted what you could do, get in the ring with Harley Race, do an hour, and then ask them how they feel about you. Because people, after that match, they looked at me differently.
Yeah. I got to kind of change your career as a young guy to step into the ring with a legend like Harley Race as a young man.
Gives you all the confidence in the world, man. You know, and rightfully so. But Harley's just the ultimate professional that would go out there, and he was that. And he did the same thing I learned from guys like him. Go out to the ring and make your opponent look as good as you can.
That is absolutely incredible. You know, anytime I think about your time in Calgary, I think about you and JYD. I do not think about you doing hour-long matches with Harley Race. So that is really fucking cool. So let's get to the match. A big part of the build-up for the crowd is for you and Andre to get in the ring together. And when it happens, he quickly tags out. Pretty incredible way to put you over in front of a pay-per-view crowd here, huh, Jake?
Yep, absolutely.
Well, everyone on your team would be eliminated except for you, leaving you against 4 men. Let's drop in on the final moments of this match.
Hey, she's and again, she's like Robin Given. She's only going to go with a winner.
That's not true. Right into that kidney area. Suffering immensely right now, Jake the Snake Roberts.
How much more punishment can he possibly take, Gorilla?
Rude, to be effective now, needs to go over and make a tag. A bear hug?
Yeah, but look at Jake's got nothing left.
Sort of out of it right here, and it's not hard to understand why. I thought he was going to go for the rude awakening there, and he did. Look out.
He's going up the top rope.
That's a very high-risk area for him.
Ooh, he hit it.
Right between the eyes.
Why doesn't Jake just roll out of the ring and hit the dressing room?
Oh, that's disgusting.
Look at that. You think Cheryl's watching on pay-per-view right now?
I'm sure she is. Now he's going over to tag somebody. Very nonchalantly. He didn't make it. He got him. He got the DDT on him. He's going to be out of there. Yes.
Yeah, but look who's in.
Well, small consolation, but I'm sure it'll be big for Jake the Snake Roberts, knowing he did a number on Ravishing Rick.
And look at the vengeance of the Giant. He's biting him. He's biting him. I've never seen Andre so vicious. He's choking the life out of him, Gorilla.
Andre the Giant gone bananas. He can get disqualified here.
He's
just broke up time.
He's breaking on the 4 count. There's no way Jake Roberts is going to survive this. I can't see how.
He's choked out of there. Andre with those big ham hocks right around the throat. I think he's disqualified, Andre. Yes, he did. And rightly so. Jake's out of it.
Look at this, though. Mr. Perfect hooks the leg.
I'm sure it's over.
It's over. Andre did what he had to do, Gorilla.
All right, so pretty fun finish. Jake, I don't think most of us are ever going to know what it's like to be getting choked by a 7-foot-tall, wine-loving, gassy giant. What can you tell us about it?
He scared the hell out of me. I thought I was putting a hickey on my neck.
Yeah, he was giving you a little bit of everything there. It's like, holy smokes, man. I mean, a guy that big, he can't know how strong he is. I mean, were there times where you're like kind of giving him the office? Like, all right, brother, let's loosen up.
No, he knew where to stop.
Lucky you.
Yeah, no shit.
Well, Jake, this will be the last question for the week. We know that you do not like working tag team matches because it kind of puts too many cooks in the kitchen. So I think it begs the question, how did you feel about the format of the Survivor Series?
It's a great format, and they were very successful doing it.
What about you personally, like participating in those matches? Are you just like throw your hands up, like whatever, it'll happen, how it happens?
I hate it.
Yeah, it does not seem like your cup of I mean, you were saying it's rough with a tag team partner with too many cooks in the kitchen. Now you've got 10 men involved in a match here in 88.
Absolutely bullshit, man. There's no way to hell that you can get anything across.
So there's plenty going on since last we left off at Survivor Series 88. We're going to start by looking at some of the stuff happening inside the company. Firstly, in December 88, the former Sheepherders are going to debut with the WWF as the Bushwhackers. Jake, had you ever spent any time around these guys during the Sheepherder days?
I had. And
okay.
What a rough, tough, rumble tumble street fight guys they were. And when they came in and started doing all that stuff they were doing, I'm like, who the fuck is that? And why? And what are they fucking doing? And I thought it was just insane. But it got over. Yep. It got over big time. And hell, it added years to their careers, man, because their style was so rough, man, on the body. They were like street fighting completely, and it was rough on them. Took its toll.
And I mean, now they're coming in here and it's like, you mentioned it before yourself where you're going from Mid-South blood and guts, Jake, to now all of a sudden you're carrying a snake. You're still the same dude, like on the mic and in the ring, but the blood and guts stuff is not existent in this world, right?
Yeah, it wasn't, man. It was easy.
Well, and I mean, you see these guys, the Bushwhackers, and obviously they're the same dudes outside of the ring. They're just very different inside. Did you get to spend a lot of time with them, like the bars, partying, stuff like that?
Oh yeah, I spent a little time with Butch and Luke. Yeah. Whoa! Yay! Yeah, I went through
it. Licking people's heads at the bar.
Yeah, they kept away from me.
That's probably a good thing.
Yeah, I've been like licking a tab of acid if they lick me,
You're like one of those poison frogs out in the rainforest.
There you go.
During this time, do you believe it was easier for wrestlers to make such a drastic change in presentation without blowback from the wrestling audience who'd come to know them so well?
Yeah, it was, man. The TV was so strong. That's the whole thing. You're going to eat what you're fed. And so they feed you whatever they want to on television, and that's what you're going to eat up.
Yep. And, like, I think that a lot of the old school fans are like, oh, they were so much better as the sheep herders. And they were kind of like the original, like, hardcore type guys. And it's like, maybe like it's fun to watch, but like realistically, their legacy is the Bushwhackers.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, man. They got over huge, man. The kids loved them.
They were a lot like Hacksaw, who's getting over
Yeah,
really big at this time too. Just
yeah.
out there, wild and brawlers. They're not going to put on any technical masterpieces, but they
No.
will entertain you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Another entertaining guy that's here is Outlaw Ron Bass, but he's going to be winding things down with the company, and he's going to wrap things up completely after the Royal Rumble. I know that you had worked with Ron in Mid-Atlantic a little bit, and I'm guessing that you
Yeah.
probably spent some time with him at other points in your career along the way.
I bumped into him a few times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard he had a great sense of humor. What can you tell us about Ron and your experiences with him?
Oh, he was a good guy, man. He was solid, good guy. Wouldn't hurt a flea. My type of guy.
I like Ron too. Kind of an underrated star, and I think a dude who probably deserves a Hall of Fame nod.
It would be nice.
No question about it. Another guy on his way out the door here after the Rumble is Harley Race. As I mentioned on the last episode, he's just coming back from an injury and looking pretty good by all reports, but he's going to cite road fatigue working for Vince. As a reminder, we're talking about the former NWA traveling world champion Harley Race, and he's saying that he's citing road fatigue with the WWF. I mean, that travel schedule must have been fucking brutal if he's thrown in the towel, right?
It was brutal, man. I mean, you woke up in a different city every day, man. And the first thing you did when you woke up was get your ass to the airport. Then you'd fly somewhere. And I swear to God, I think they did the bookings with a dartboard. San Diego to Miami, Miami to Portland, Oregon, Portland, Oregon to Portland, Maine, Portland, Maine to Houston. What the fuck, man?
How often were you waking up, like, just looking around the hotel room, like, where the hell am I?
Oh, yeah, a lot. A lot.
I can't imagine it.
Yeah, it was brutal.
How hard do you think the adjustment was for Harley to go from the territory system where he was part owner to now being an employee for Vince? You think it was tough?
I don't think that part was tough for him. I think just the travel got to him because, he wasn't used to working 7 days a week.
Okay.
Then she worked 7 days a week, twice on Saturday, twice on Sunday. And that's what got Harley.
Okay, so as the NWA champion, he's not working 7 days a week, maybe like 2 or 3 times a week?
Yeah. And he'd have days off.
Now it's coming together. Okay,
Yeah.
so the travel is probably similar, but now instead of working only a few times a week, he's killing himself every single day.
Right. He'd go into a territory and work 2 or 3 dates in that territory. So there wasn't much travel. You drove it by car. It was easy. Easy peasy.
A whole other world there working for Vince. That helps put it in perspective. That's great. Now, I'm just wondering, while we're here talking about Harley, did you ever hear the story of Harley threatening to kill Hulk Hogan?
No, I didn't.
Okay, so apparently the WWF was stealing business from his territory when he was the head of Kansas City, and allegedly he actually, I think he came into a locker room and threatened Hogan with a gun.
No shit.
I'm gonna have to check back in on this story because I don't have the full thing here in the notes. But yeah, apparently I don't know why he decided to come after Hogan with a gun. Probably Vince was the better answer, but I guess if you can't get to Vince, his top draw is a decent way to go.
Yeah. I mean, that would certainly change things up.
Well, additionally, how close were you with Harley during this time? I know that you and he had a great relationship, back in, I think it was your Calgary days, right?
Yeah, Calgary. I'd bump into him. We'd talk a little bit. That's about it.
Did he
I
ever
didn't hang with him.
did he ever like voice his opinion on this new presentation in wrestling? Because it is night and day from what he was doing previously in his
Oh
career.
yeah. He spoke up a few times, but it was sad too, because you look at a guy that went out there and really did the tough work, 90-minute matches, 60-minute matches every night, and really did the groundwork, And you look at it, and here he's done that his whole life, and now all of a sudden he's jet airplaning around and doing half the work in the ring.
Uh-huh.
But the hardest part was the travel. That was what hurt you.
The travel,
constant travel.
I can't imagine that he was like crazy about the King Harley thing either, because he was just, I mean, he, as you said, he used to be like the 60-minute wrestler guy, and now he's
Tough
here
guy.
as, yeah, a character.
Yeah. He did. It put a nasty taste in his mouth.
I'm hard to blame him. I mean, this is right when the territories are getting ready to die, and he's a territory guy now, being forced into a kind of a cartoon role to continue his career. It's like, yeah, I don't necessarily blame him for wanting to hang it up.
Yeah.
Well, he's gonna finish up at the Royal Rumble, losing his title to Haku, making Haku the king. By all accounts, Haku is a certified badass, but so is Harley. Jake, hypothetically, fight. Who wins the fist fight?
Haku.
What about young Harley Race, not Harley?
Haku.
Any era of Haku.
Haku. The moment he was born, Haku.
He actually gets into legal trouble stemming from him biting off a guy's nose at this time as well.
I was there.
You witnessed him biting a man's nose off?
I witnessed it.
Do you finish your drink or just leave the bar?
I got a beer.
Oh, you were like, let's have a show.
I was like, fuck, I gotta have a beer after that shit.
Yeah, to try to wipe that from my memory.
Yeah, man.
I mean, is it like you can like? It's a weird question, but like just.
He bit it off, man. There was just 2 holes there.
Oh my god.
He bit the whole fucking nose off.
And like the night doesn't come grinding to a halt. You're like, holy shit. Okay, I'm gonna take a beer.
Yeah. I knows you're in trouble.
Just a different time.
Bet you won't be nosy.
It's probably not going to have much of a sense of smell moving forward either.
No.
Holy shit. Well, you had mentioned before that your travel was crazy, particularly when you were working with Steamboat in 86. Now we're coming into 89 here, and you're programmed with Andre. Would you say that the schedule was different, with you being paired with Andre?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay, how so?
A little bit easier.
Well, Andre was not in the best of health. His back had continued to be an issue at this time, so I'm guessing that was a big part of it. I mean, apparently even in first class, those big seats, he's still struggling because of his size. So, I mean, Andre's looked at as like one of the most respected guys ever in the locker room, like one of those like stoic kind of impenetrable figures. Was he selling it when he's backstage, or like keep behind closed doors? Never. Wow.
Never heard him complain once.
Wow.
Not once.
I mean, I know that your strategy was always to kind of keep him close to the rope so he could support himself and get himself up. Was that ever something that you, because if he's not selling it, does that mean that he's not discussing this with you, like how to help him out in the ring?
No, he never discussed it with me. I just did it.
Okay. You just knew what to do.
Yeah. Yeah. He thanked me for it.
Okay. So he didn't ask you for it, but he recognized you were doing it.
Yeah, absolutely.
How did you know to do it, Jake?
I was told a long time ago, you never expose somebody's weakness. Because if you do, then you're beating a lesser man. You want to accentuate the guy's positive and make him the biggest, baddest son of a bitch on the planet. That way, if you beat him, you beat somebody.
Okay.
So knowing that Andre was struggling with his back, even if you didn't know, you could tell when he walked that he was hurting. Just by the way he walked.
Yeah.
So what do? You don't do shit that'll fucking make him bend over, get down on his knees, get him back up. Giants don't need to do that shit anyway.
That's true. You should be the one who's doing like all of the bumping around the ring, right?
Fuck yeah, man.
And you at this time, as we mentioned before, you're getting ready to go to neck surgery here later this same year. So like you're not exactly in the best of health either, but you know,
I was hurting.
You're doing what you need to do to make sure that these matches come off right.
Yeah.
So I've heard about guys in these days going town to town doing essentially the same exact match night after night because it's, you know, this is before the internet. So it's, you can get away with that stuff. Is that what you and Andre were doing, or did you have variations?
We had variations. We'd just go out there and just do whatever we came up with. You know, I knew 2 or 3 things that he liked to do, so I'd put myself in position for them. Sometimes he'd do them, sometimes he wouldn't.
Okay, so it's like kind of just feeling out the audience and depending on the mood that Andre is in, I'm guessing.
Exactly. How much vodka was in the tank?
I'm guessing that would probably influence things a little bit.
Yeah.
A guy who's going to retire here in 1988 and then make his return by the end of the year is Big John Studd. And Bruce Pritchard has said that Studd maybe didn't realize that when you take yourself out of the game, you stop making money, which is a pretty funny quote from Bruce.
Yeah.
Studd is, of course, going to be the guest ref for your match with Andre at WrestleMania, and he's going to work with Andre after you. So I've heard that he's a guy whose heart really was not in the business. What can you tell us about John?
John was a good guy, man, and Andre hated him. Hated him. Why? So he would beat the fuck out of John. Well, on an interview one time, Studd called Andre nothing but a circus freak.
Oh, boy.
And that didn't sit well with Andre. So he would go out and toss Big John Studd around. Yeah.
John Studd, who's what, 7'1"?
Yeah, 450. And toss him around.
Oh my God. Just a plaything to a guy like Andre.
Yeah. It was hard to watch, man, because it was painful. You know?
Was that like prior to this that they had issues, or going into this program?
It was prior.
Oh, man. Okay, so now Studd's getting paired with him again. He's probably like, shit.
Oh, yeah, he was fucking dreading it.
Hard to blame him.
But Andre wanted him, so that was that.
Okay, so Andre wasn't finished with him quite yet.
Exactly.
Well, John is returning here to a big push, and he's going to win the Royal Rumble here in '89. In your mind, was it pushing a little bit too hard to put a guy like Studd in that position, or was he the right guy for the spot at this time?
I think he was the right guy at the time. They wanted to put him with Andre, so you got to do it, man. You got to give him something to chew on.
Did you feel like Studd was a guy who like maybe had more potential he didn't get to reach, or was what you saw what you got?
I think what you saw is what you got.
Okay.
John wasn't a lightning quick thinker. He wasn't real sharp. He was the dullest knife in the drawer. Like a butter knife.
Like a big guy, he's coming in a big scary package, but just maybe not quite the right mind for the business.
Yeah, he wasn't a gorilla. Thank God he wasn't. He'd been killing people. But
imagine a guy like that being aggressive. Yeah, he'd be scary.
Fuck. Yeah, he'd be scary.
Well, as I mentioned, and we talked about it here a little bit, I mean, the travel's crazy, and you're working your ass off at this time because if you don't work, obviously, you don't get paid, as Bruce pointed out.
Yeah, that's funny.
So weird how that works, just like a normal job.
Unbelievable.
So at this time, Jake, are you sending money home to Cheryl and allowing her to manage it? Or are you just trying to strike some kind of a budget of your own on the road? Or how are you keeping track of everything?
I'm not keeping track of shit. Cheryl was taking care of everything.
So you just send home the checks and handle it.
Well, they went straight to the house.
Got to.
Checks went straight to the house, and I'd be gone for a month and 2 months at a time.
Oh man, I mean, brutal, especially when you consider that not everything is being paid for by the WWF. You were paying for your own rental cars and hotels, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
How much do you think you would spend in a calendar year on just hotels and rental cars?
I haven't calculated that up, but you might as well figure $100 a night for a hotel $60 for a rental car back then.
Oh my God.
So $160 every day.
Man, that is a lot of money going out the window.
Oh yeah.
Did you always try to get, or did you try to get a particular type of rental car, or were you just taking whatever was cheapest?
No, I spent money on a rental car.
Okay, so what was your car of choice?
Lincoln.
Okay, something big.
Town car. Yeah, if I've got to travel, I want something that's comfortable.
And speaking of being comfortable, how about the hotels? Are you roughing it, or are you saying, hey, I'm making
Marriott's.
Good spot. Okay, so
Marriott's.
A decent enough spot.
Yeah.
I just spoke to Ted about travel recently on our show, and he revealed the guy who he thought was the biggest cheapskate ever in wrestling. Before I tell you who he said, I have to ask you, who is the biggest cheapskate or most frugal guy ever?
Macho.
That's what he said too.
Macho Man.
What did you see with Savage?
He wouldn't even get a hotel. He'd go to the airport and sleep.
Ted was like, yeah, he would sleep at the airport, as you said,
Yeah.
or he said, like, you would also sometimes see him sleeping in a rental car. And I was like, oh man, Savage in a rental car. He was like, yeah, with Liz. And I'm like, wait a minute, he's forcing his wife to sleep in a car.
Yeah.
That is
crazy.
That is next level frugal.
Yeah, that's just fucking insane. He used to have the Marks driving him around.
Oh, really?
Yeah, when he got the title, Vince told him he couldn't do that anymore.
Why?
You don't want your world champion riding around in a 62 fucking Volvo or a Volkswagen with a Volkswagen van with flowers painted on the side. No, you don't want him in that.
Did you ever ride with the fans?
Hell no.
No. So what was stopping you? Because it's a big money saver. What made you decide against it?
Just the constant questions.
I got you.
Just, what about this? What about that? What about this? What about that? What would you do if he did this?
So you'd be like sitting there trying to sleep and they're peppering you with...
Right.
Oh, yeah. No, thanks.
Right.
Well, at this time, the WWF is running 3 towns a night. Hogan and Boss Man are working on top of the A card. Macho is working with just essentially whoever on the B shows. And yourself and Andre are headlining C towns such as Bristol, Tennessee, Oklahoma City, Pensacola, Portland.
Yeah.
Andre's a massive star, and you've become a household name yourself by this point in your career as well. So even though these were C towns, was it a good audience? Were you drawing a big crowd?
Oh, yeah. Did real well.
I mean, you see Jake the Snake and Andre are coming to your town. I can't imagine a lot of people not going to that.
Oh, yeah.
Payoffs on C towns, good?
Fair.
It's weird because you're working on top against fucking the 8th wonder of the world, Andre. So it's like, okay, in theory, it should be good money. However, it is a smaller town, so...
you make good money.
Of note, on January 8th, the WWF ran the Charlotte Coliseum in Charlotte, North Carolina. This is the first time the WWF came to this town, which historically the WWF did not do well in Crockett country. But this event is bringing in 13,500 fans. The card includes 8 matches, but the big ones are Arn and Tully versus the Rockers, DiBiase and Hercules, yourself and Andre in the semi-main, and Hogan and Boss Man on top. So this card is a combination of talent that worked A, B, and C towns. And I mean, it's loaded with Hall of Fame talent. So Jake, I'll ask you, do you think this had more to do with trying to make an impression when running a new venue, or is Vince trying to make a statement in Crockett country?
Make a statement.
I've never met Vince, but based on what I've heard, that sounds like something he would want to do.
Yeah, he wanted to show him this is mine.
Well, speaking of Vince trying to one-up the Crockett's, the Royal Rumble was an event created by Pat Patterson, and this is the second installment. As a reminder to our listeners, the Rumble was created to directly compete against Jim Crockett Promotions' Bunkhouse Stampede pay-per-view because Vince wanted to be the king of pay-per-view, and he essentially threatened the pay-per-view providers by saying, if you carry theirs and don't carry mine, you won't get WrestleMania 4. After a massive WrestleMania 3, these pay-per-view providers are like, oh, yeah, whatever you want, sure.
Yeah.
So Vince is like strong-arming people. And, Jake, I'm wondering, you're a smart businessman, but you're also a guy who grew up in the territory system. So, I've heard a lot of folks say that competition is a good thing in wrestling. How did you think, or what did you feel about these sabotage tactics?
I just showed me what a vicious son of a bitch Vince was.
Yeah.
It tells you a lot about the man, and his intentions. And his intentions was to crush everyone. Everyone. So he had the only game in town. And that's what he did.
I mean, yes, it's competition. Yep, you're running a business, and these are business competitors. But this is, these it's a family-owned operation. Both of them are.
Yeah.
And you're essentially trying to bankrupt these people.
Yeah.
So pretty brutal. I mean, if it's you running a territory, do you think you'd be satisfied just being in a territory, or are you looking to dominate the way that Vince is?
I'd like to dominate.
Okay.
But I would welcome some type of competition, because I think competition is good for everybody.
Hell yeah.
I think a second wrestling company is great. It's great for the talent, and it's box office.
Forces everybody to up their game.
Damn straight.
Even here in 1989, would you say you were starting to see the writing on the wall for the territory days?
Oh yeah, it was over.
Disappointing, or when you're working on top, it doesn't hit quite as hard?
It was disappointing because you realized, I looked ahead to see what it was going to cost us, and one thing it cost was there was no longer a breeding ground for new talent. For guys that are starting, there was no place to go, and that was sad, real sad. And I think a few years later, we all paid for that.
Yep.
And there was a lull in the business simply because there was no fresh blood. Nothing new was coming through. It was all the same old shit.
That's something I want our listeners to think about a little bit is, all of a sudden you're going from, you're getting competitors that are working every night on the road and then jumping into a new territory and learning over there, to now all of a sudden you're getting guys who maybe worked like 150 times that year.
Shit, you'd be with guys that wrestled 10 times that year.
I mean, like Jake honed his skills and became Jake the Snake because he got to learn from people, different territories, working all the time, riding in the cars and hearing the stories. That's how you became Jake the Snake Roberts. And now it's like, it's just the faucet's turned off.
Yeah, nothing's going to come out, man.
Very different world. All right, so we're getting to the Royal Rumble here. You've done plenty of battle royals over the years, Jake, but now this is a whole other thing with the Royal Rumble. What did you think about these entrances separated by 90 seconds or 2 minutes or whatever?
2 minutes was too long.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Why is that?
Because if you came in there number one and stayed till the end, you were a tired son of a bitch.
Okay, that's a really good point.
And I had to put some time in some of those.
Yes, you did. I can't remember what year it was, but you were in there for a hell of a long time.
Yeah, I was in there for like 40 minutes, man, and fuck that.
Just take a bump in the corner and just sit there.
I would hide in the corner.
It's funny because I had asked you your Royal Rumble strategy probably about a year ago. And so what's funny is a couple weeks ago, I asked Ted the same thing. He was like, "Oh, I always got to the corner." I'm like, "Really? That's what Jake said." And so last week I spoke to Jim about this event and I was like, "Hey, I asked Jake and I asked Ted, what's your Royal Rumble strategy?" He's like, "Oh, I get in the corner." And I'm like, so everybody's just trying to fight their way into a corner.
Yep.
It's just hilarious picturing everybody grabbing their opponent and trying to back into the corner.
Absolutely.
Well, we'll get to your match or your involvement here in a minute. Before we do, Jake, I do not want to let this episode slip by without asking you about this, which could be a candidate for WrestleCrap, in my opinion. The Ultimate Warrior and Rick Rude are starting their rivalry in early '89, and they're here at the Rumble facing off, but it's not in a match. They are in a pose-off, Jake.
Oh, yeah.
So after growing up in wrestling, as we've talked about, admiring guys like Danny Hodge, you're paying your dues in these violent, bloody matches across America, Japan. What did you think about two oiled up dudes posing in the ring, Jake?
I thought I would have jack off for a while.
that's pretty much the answer I was hoping for.
Yeah. What the fuck?
This is a major pay-per-view now at this point. Yes, it's only the second year, but it's one of like the kind of tentpole pay-per-views in the era, and you're taking up valuable pay-per-view time with guys posing at each other.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
It was wonderful.
I don't know. Is it better to have the pose off with Warrior or put Warrior in a match?
Pose off.
There we go. That's the payoff on the question I was really hoping to get to.
Yeah.
All right. Well, speaking of getting to things, let's get to the Rumble itself. You're going to come in at number 7, and this is not a very long Royal Rumble for you because you're going to be eliminated by Andre in just 2.5 minutes. So
yeah, it's perfect.
In and out, quick night, but your night is not over yet, Jake. Let's have a look at Andre's unique elimination that night at the hands of yourself and Damien. Listeners can follow along with the link we'll provide in the description of the episode because WWE made it available on YouTube. Here we go. All right, so Andre's in the corner, working over Outlaw. You've got Kurt Hennig in the background with Shawn Michaels, which is really cool. And all right, we've got the countdown going now. We're at 6 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And who we have here? Okay, it's Bushwhacker Butch stomping on down to the ring. You can see the fans starting to stand up and look too, not just for Butch. There's something else going on. Butch is in there like a house of fire. Here's what the fans are looking at. It's Jake the Snake. You're throwing Damien into the ring. And here you come after Andre. There goes Andre. He eliminates himself. Oh, man. Look at that reaction from the crowd. So Andre's out of here. Everybody in the ring is in shock. Nope. Andre's taking his ball and going home. All right. So there was a moment that still gets referenced a lot when people talk about the Royal Rumble. It's a pretty cool, iconic thing. What do you think 35 years later, Jake?
I think it was great thinking.
That begs the question. Did you come up with this?
No.
No. Who did?
It was a natural.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a natural. Everybody guessed that.
I mean, it's brilliant, especially because Andre was kind of like the king of battle royals. Nobody ever eliminated Andre by themselves.
Right.
And now you're not even touching him and you're forcing him to eliminate himself. It's just brilliant stuff.
Took a pretty good bump getting out of there.
Like you saw him kind of hobbling over. So watching him that's his version of like running, I guess. Like watching that happen, I'm like, I don't know how this is going to go, him bailing out. But no, he did a good job.
Yeah, he did a good job, man.
Not too bad for a guy who's in a lot of pain. How many bottles of wine do you think that night, if you had to guess?
Oh, probably 5 or 6 and a bottle of vodka.
Just to get started.
Yeah.
Man, it was really cool. Let's hit a couple of fan questions, and then I'll let you go, Jake.
Right.
First up, we've got Adam Krasnoff, who asks, at this point, did you know what the plans were for you going into WrestleMania 5?
No.
So, I mean, WrestleMania, massive show. I mean, is it like how long before WrestleMania are you finding out what their ideas are for you?
Oh, a couple of weeks.
Wow. Okay, so they're kind of booking this shit on the fly.
Oh yeah.
Kind of weird that Big John Studd is selected to win the Rumble here, only to go on to become a guest referee in your match with Andre. Do you have any idea why they selected him to do that?
To give me a chance.
Okay. I got you. So you've got a babyface Big John Studd on your side to help. Okay. Now it's making sense. Last question. Philip France asks a good one here. So we're talking about how they're kind of booking you last minute. This is the opposite end of the spectrum. The Mega Power storyline is getting ready to come to a head at WrestleMania 5, and it was something the company had been building for an entire year. what did Jake think about a program being extended for so long? So it's a good point, Jake. Here they are getting ready to book you, whatever, a week or two ahead of WrestleMania.
Yeah.
But this is a story they've been telling for close to a year now.
Well, I think that's the way it should be booked. That's the way it should be booked. You come up with an idea, then you play with it that whole year. Build it, build it, build it, build it. That way there's a crescendo at the end, man, where everybody blows their nut,
The mega powers explode.
That's it.
So you and I have talked about your favorite angles involving you. So this Mega Power storyline, a lot of fans, even to this day, will say it's the greatest storyline ever in wrestling because they extended it for so long. Objectively, Jake, what not involving you, what would you say is the greatest wrestling storyline you've ever seen?
Oh God, man, there's way too many of them, man.
Too many to come up with.
Oh God, yeah, I won't even try.
Not the Mega Power story, though?
No.
Following the Royal Rumble, it's reported that Dusty Rhodes officially resigned from the NWA and was set to return to Florida, where he had purchased 60% of the nearly dormant Florida Championship Wrestling territory. Dusty is a legendary guy and a major figure in the NWA, but I've heard some folks say that he could be tough to work with and had a tendency to position himself at the expense of other talents. In your experiences around Dusty, would you say that you viewed him as one of the boys or more of a political office figure?
Dusty knew how to book Dusty, and he's a great talent. I mean, thank God he wasn't a piece of shit. Did not know what he was doing. He knew what he was doing, man, and he could work with just about anybody if he wanted to, and make money. I always found him easy to work with. Issues here, but maybe I wasn't in the position to cause issues.
Gotcha. Okay, so you would have been around him primarily during your time in Charlotte?
In Florida.
In Florida, that's right. Okay, during all that stuff with Kevin Sullivan.
Right.
Okay, so you didn't really necessarily have to experience it. You weren't around him for a super long time. But yeah, that's always been the rap on him. Like, boy, great wrestling mind. However, he's going to make sure that Dusty gets over.
Oh, yeah, he does that.
I mean, when you hear about him starting his own wrestling territory back in these days, do you feel like, a guy like Dusty Rhodes, his experience, a big success incoming, or maybe not so much in those days?
I think it was bad timing.
Why is that?
It just wasn't ready for it. Florida had been twisted upside down and wrung wet, man, by then. Once Florida Championship Wrestling went down, it went down hard, man. And they took all the TVs off of it, and that experience was gone. And you got to have television, man.
Man, it's sad to see the state of it in those days, especially after what it was, what a huge wrestling territory it had been. So yeah, it's a bummer. Well, Dusty isn't the only departure from NWA at this time, as J.J. Dillon makes the jump to the WWF, and it's reported he'll be working in an office role as an assistant booker and as a point of contact, possibly to bring more talents from NWA to WWF. I know J.J. was a journeyman wrestler before he became a manager. Jake, did you get a lot of time around J.J. Dillon?
I actually wrestled J.J. Dillon.
Did you really?
Yeah, in my early days.
What do you think of his work?
Mediocre at best.
Maybe that's why he became a manager.
Yeah, exactly.
So I have heard people say over the years, though, that, like, man, one of the best bump takers ever out there. Was that your experience with him?
Yeah, he could take bumps, man.
He was entertaining. He would even incorporate some of that as a manager, which was always fun to watch.
Yeah, you sure as hell did, man.
Now, I believe he would go on to work in a talent relations role at the company.
Yeah.
What do you remember about dealing with him in that capacity as like a booker, talent relations guy?
I had no dealings with him at all.
Really?
He wasn't there very long.
Okay, so talent relations, but didn't have many relations with you over the course of that period of time. Well, also another note here surrounding this time period. Sadly, just before Mania in 1989, Paul Bosch is going to pass away from a heart attack. Jake, what can you tell us about Bosch as a promoter and as a man?
The greatest promoter man that ever came along.
Wow.
He was so good to people, man. He treated you fairly. He treated you like a man. You felt like you were doing something when you were working for him, man. It was special. You know, and his manner and the way he treated you, he put out the utmost respect for the athletes, and he was very gracious when it come to payoffs too.
So I know that during your time with Mid-South, you would go down to Houston and work for Bosch here and there. And so, like, you know, going from Bill Watts, who maybe you didn't have a great relationship as a promoter, down there to Bosch, was there an opportunity for you to just stay in Houston and work for Bosch?
No, because he's only running the one show.
Oh, shit. Okay. So good payoffs, but not enough to sustain you all by itself.
No, not at all.
Well, it was always rumored that Gino Hernandez was Bosch's illegitimate son. Jake, you got to know both guys really well. Any truth to the rumor?
I believe so.
You think so?
Yeah.
Wow. A lot of similarities between the two of them and their personalities?
Yeah.
Does make you wonder.
Certainly does, man. I don't think there was any room to wiggle with that one.
Well, there's another big piece of news from this time that I would absolutely love to get your take on, Jake. We have this from the 2/20/1989 Observer. The big media story in wrestling this week is that the ultimate kayfabe violation has taken place courtesy of Titan Sports and Vince and Linda McMahon. Titan admitted that pro wrestling was fake and that the competitors do everything they can to avoid hurting one another in a New Jersey State Senate hearing on Thursday in hopes of getting pro wrestling taken away from the authority of the State Athletic Commission, and so state law would no longer mandate a doctor in attendance at ringside during pro wrestling exhibitions. Brother, after all these years of protecting kayfabe on your behalf, and I'm sure on behalf of so many other guys you saw, guys getting fired in Mid-South after losing a fist fight at the bar, stuff like that. Now, here's the most powerful man in wrestling publicly breaking kayfabe. What do you remember about hearing this?
Oh, I remember hearing it, man. We were all like, are you fucking kidding me? You know, when you look at it, you say, wait a minute. You're doing this so you don't have to have a doctor at ringside.
Yep.
Well, that's not fucking good, you know. But the sad thing was, those doctors they had, half of them weren't doctors. They were fucking veterinarians, wannabe doctors. Maybe they'd worked in the back of an ambulance at one time.
Oh, Lord.
Things like that. And they got paid a pretty good hunk of change, too.
Man, it's crazy. I know it's a huge business expense for Vince to, have to pay these buildings and have to pay to have these doctors come in and stuff like that. But at the same time, it's like, okay, it's a work. It's predetermined. However, you guys are taking some big risks with your bodies. Maybe not a bad thing to have a doctor present.
No, it'd be a great thing, man. You know, that's one thing I like about AEW is they have a doctor present. You know, and they take care of you, man. If somebody's hurting, they've got a chiropractor there waiting to adjust them. They've got a doctor there waiting to tell them what to do, where to go. So, they check people out. You have to be cleared by the doctors to get back in the ring after a concussion or something, or any type of injury. They make you go through the hoops, man, before you can get back in that ring. Because lots of times, it's the doctor's job is to protect the athlete from himself.
Yep.
Because guys want to get back out there sometimes before they're ready, you know. And it's a shame. You know, I get it. I get why we do it, but it's wrong. So AEW is doing it right.
Man, a class organization that really cares about their talents. You've got to give it up to AEW. That's incredible.
Absolutely.
Now, when it comes to the cardinal rule of breaking kayfabe, though, I mean, I think that the broader audience by this time probably suspected that wrestling was predetermined. But still, it's like, this is the cardinal rule, and the most powerful man in wrestling is breaking it. How did you feel about that aspect of it?
I didn't like it, man. And to this day, I still kayfabe people.
Do you really?
Yeah, I still do it.
So when you were like marching around as a heel there with Lance Archer, if somebody comes up to you in the airport, you slap them, right? Get them away from you.
No, I don't. For Christ's sakes, I headbutt them.
Oh well, that's even better.
Like I'm kissing them, you know. I just a short little headbutt, you know.
See, that's masterful heel work right there. The headbutt.
You're in the eye, you know, something simple.
Well, you got to get one of those Jake squirt heads like we talked about and start squirting people again.
That's good. That'd be good as gold, man. Fill it full of piss.
There you go. You can tell people it's my piss. Don't wash that shirt. That's Jake Roberts' piss.
Good shit.
Well, after the Rumble, it's made official. The WrestleMania 5 will be at Trump Plaza again. Jake, we discussed on our WrestleMania 4 episode that the crowd was not enthusiastic throughout the event due to the likelihood that, there was a lot of comp tickets for high rollers and businessmen who weren't necessarily wrestling fans. What did you think when you heard that you were headed back to Atlantic City?
I was like, oh my God, not again. You know, because it was tough, man. It was a tough crowd, but WrestleMania 5, it was better.
I will say I watched back WrestleMania 5 in preparation for this, and dude, that crowd was absolutely dead for most of WrestleMania 4. It seemed like the fans must have flocked to the building this time around.
Yeah, the fans are there.
After WrestleMania 3 and the reported 90,000 fans, did it feel like kind of a huge downgrade to do WrestleMania in such a small venue?
It kind of made us feel like, what the hell's wrong? You know, we were all it was a big letdown, man.
I can't imagine, because you're in that massive dome, and by the way, sold the place out. And you've got all these people surrounding you. There's that incredible view of you. It's like a huge zoom out of you riding to the ring on that cart, and there's just thousands of people surrounding you. And now it's very compact and small. And at one point you're walking down these steps, and the fans are just they could just touch you. They could grab your bag, pants you. Everybody was right on top of you. It had to feel very weird.
It did feel weird, man. It just didn't feel. It didn't feel like gold, you know. The WrestleMania 3 was gold, man, gold and silver all the way. But 4 and 5, man, it was a huge letdown.
We will get to I'm sure a lot of folks hear this and they're like, yeah, why did they do it in the smaller venue? We're getting to the reason why here shortly. A few interesting things happen along the way as you're working house shows with Andre. In one instance, you're going to team up with Tito Santana to take on Andre and Rude, which is notable because Tito was already in a tag team of his own with Rick Martel.
Right.
Safe to assume that this random pairing was done to give Andre a little break, probably?
Yeah.
Spend a little bit more time on the apron, not have to go in there and bump. Every time I talk to DiBiase about Tito, he sings his praises. How are your experiences working with him in either a tag team or singles?
Absolutely, man. Tito's a class act, brother. He can go out there and get it done at any time.
That's what everybody says. A hell of a worker. Probably, honestly, a pretty underrated worker. Not enough people talk about that guy.
Absolutely.
The other notable thing that happened along the way is apparently you'll be bit by Damien on a show in Los Angeles, and it actually draws a pretty significant amount of blood based on the reports. Yeah. Now, this is notable because you're working with Andre, and the storyline, of course, was that you're terrorizing him with the snake, and now the snake is drawing blood, biting you. Nobody's smarting that snake up, huh?
Nobody's smarting the snake up, but the truth is he bit Andre first.
Okay.
He bit Andre in the shoulder and broke his fangs off. So when he bit me, he had these jagged fangs that just ripped the shit out of my hand.
Oh, shit.
Oh, yeah, it was nice. But I went back to the locker room, man. I'm like, I got to go see Andre to see how he's doing. And I was like, fuck, I hope he's not pissed at me, you know? So I opened the door. I'm like, Andre, you okay? Yeah, boss, I'm good, you know? And about that time, Rick Rude walks up to him and goes, Andre, what's this? And he grabs the fucking fang and pulls it out of him. Andre laughed and said, "Snake is hungry."
Well, there's all the evidence you need that Andre wasn't really necessarily afraid of these snakes, huh?
He wasn't, man. Are you kidding me?
So Jake, you're out there in the middle of a match. The snake with now jagged teeth bites you, lays you open. How bad was the cut? Stitches?
Stitches.
How many?
9.
Okay. I mean, in the moment, I'm sure adrenaline is pumping. Did you even notice it?
I noticed it right away because I felt it. When it ripped, I felt it.
Oh God, yeah. I guess it would be more of a rip than like a clean tear, wouldn't, or clean kind of a cut on you, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Well, the snake bites you, but what do? You jerk away.
Oh, okay.
That's when it rips.
Holy shit, man! Not always glamorous to be carrying around a snake, huh?
No, yeah. You want to be a star here? Carry this around for a while. Okay, you get me.
How often were you getting bitten by these snakes overall?
Averaged out to probably 2 times a year.
Okay.
Maybe 3 times a year.
Now, was it something that you were doing, or is it just like random aggression from these snakes?
Random aggression. People thought Damien was one snake. Damien was only good for about 10 days.
Wow.
And then they'd send me another one. Well, sooner or later I'll get a bad one. It's just a numbers game, And I guess, the snake's having a bad day and he takes it out on me.
Some snakes are just assholes, man.
You got that right.
Well, an interesting new wrinkle is added to the angle between you and Andre as Heenan reveals on the Brother Love show that Andre has been hypnotized into no longer fearing snakes. Brother Love would present a snake in a bag to prove it, and Andre would back off with Heenan making some excuses for him. So, Jake, first of all, what do you think of the hypnotism angle?
It's cute. That's all. It was cute. Gives the people something to think about. Anticipation. Those a big question mark. Is this going to make a difference? That's all. It was good TV.
I thought it was a really smart idea because it's really outside the box thinking, but
Sure.
they kind of fucked it up for night one because they proved that he is still afraid of the snake right then and there. Like, wouldn't it make more sense to bring that to Mania?
No, you got to do it before.
Why is that?
Well, you got to do something to assure that I'm not getting murdered.
Ah, okay. So keep the fans thinking that you stand a chance because he is still afraid of snakes.
Exactly.
I'm with you. Well, it'll be announced that Big John Studd is going to be the guest referee for your match with Andre, and there would be some speculation in the Observer that his work had left WWF officials disappointed, and that might be why they put him in this position. What did you think about having Studd assigned to the match in that role?
Well, at first I was glad about it.
Really?
Yeah, but then as I got closer to it, I found out that Andre really didn't like Studd at all. He couldn't stand John Studd.
Even to that day?
Even to that day, John had said something in an interview called Andre a freak.
Oh, boy.
And that he was the only giant, true giant, that Andre was a genetic freak. And it left a bad taste in Andre's mouth.
I'll bet.
And Andre punished him, in the match.
What does it look like when Andre decides to punish you in a match?
Oh, fuck. Are you kidding? It's horrible. I mean, I'm there hoping I don't get killed by John Studd's body parts that are going to fly off of it. And Andre would shove Studd, and Studd would shove into me or try to reach out and grab me. Fuck, man, it was rough.
Holy shit, man.
It was rough.
A couple big dudes like that, I think I'd be just making for the low ground, get out of the damn ring.
Oh, man, I wanted to.
I've also heard about Andre when he doesn't like somebody fucking with them during the match. I know, obviously he'd give you the giant haircut and stuff.
Yeah.
What other stuff was he doing? I heard he had like a gross strap or something he'd put on somebody.
He'd pull his strap off and choke you with it, except he'd put it in your mouth.
Ugh.
That strap that is full of piss and sweat and God knows what else. I know he got Hacksaw with it one time, man. Just fun. Hacksaw damn near puked. It was nasty.
Oh, like if Andre is not like diligently washing that every night when he gets to the hotel, that thing is just disgusting.
He never washed it.
Oh God, so gross.
He just took it off and threw it in his bag.
Guys, if you want to think about what that's like, why don't you stick a dirty sock in your mouth? Probably pretty similar.
That's not even close.
Not even as bad.
No, God, no.
Ugh, Lord.
Got to think about somebody's panties that weighs about 400. That have been worn for a week.
I don't want that imagery in my head. What did Hacksaw do to Andre?
Not a damn thing.
So Andre's just having some fun.
Yeah.
So Jake, for context, we're back on stud. For context, in a normal match with a normal referee, what kind of duties does the referee undertake when it comes to managing the match, calling spots, timing, stuff like that?
Well, the referee's very important. He's got to have some type of order in the ring. If he doesn't have order in the ring, the match is not going to be good. So he's got to be respected for being a referee. The heel's got to back off, at the right time. And it's very important to have a good referee. John Studd was not a good referee.
Right, because so he's massive for one thing, so that eliminates one aspect of having a ref. But then it's like, he can't mess with timing and stuff like that, can he?
He can get down quick on the mat and count 1, 2, 3. Hell, both guys would be back to their feet, and John'd still be flapping like a seal.
The other thing that we hear is that like when it's time to wrap up the match or like, okay, it's, cues and stuff like that, the ref is pretty integral, right?
Yeah.
So like, having a guy like John out there who's just one of the boys, like it's got to fuck up a lot of stuff when it comes to how the matches goes down.
It did. Because, of course, he's trying to protect himself from Andre. That was the big thing.
Right.
He had to keep away from Andre.
So he can't even focus on his job as a ref. He's, trying to not get murdered by the real giant there.
Exactly.
Well, Jake, on 5 occasions, can't wait to hear you talk about this. On 5 occasions on the way to WrestleMania, you'll find yourself teamed up with none other than the Ultimate Warrior against Andre and Rick Rude. Jake, we know that you don't like tag team matches. How painful was this shit for you?
It was painful, man. Because my job was to go out and sell and turn it over to the Warrior. Lots of times, his comeback would be over by the time I got stood up in the corner.
Holy shit, man.
He'd come in and do, his running thing with 2 or 3 clotheslines on Rude. Then he'd hit Andre, and Andre'd just stagger, Then he would tag out.
So after doing all the heavy lifting, you've got about 15 seconds before he tags you back in.
Exactly.
Oh my God. That had to be incredibly frustrating.
It was.
Now, and that was, so 5 occasions you did this and same match every single time where you just do all of it and then tag him in for a minute.
Yeah.
At this point, is it like you and Jim have any relationship or it's just see you in the ring, we'll figure it out sort of thing?
Yeah, exactly.
It had to be a little bit frustrating that this guy's getting protected and pushed while you are out there doing all of the damn work.
All the damn work, man.
Brutal. Well, unfortunately, it was only 5 times. This was not a long-term deal. Run DMC is there. Roddy Piper is back, and Morton Downey Jr. is doing a segment with Piper and Brother Love at WrestleMania 5. Jake, any memorable interactions with any of these personalities?
No. I just kept away from him, brother. I was doing my thing.
So you were not Jake the Snake Roberts is not a Run DMC fan?
No.
I'm shocked.
Oh, don't be.
So WrestleMania is going to draw a record money despite the much smaller crowd than WrestleMania 3. And the reason for that is that they jacked up the ticket pricing. So this is going to be one of the biggest live gates ever in the history of wrestling. And they drew whatever, like 70,000 less people or something like that. So pretty incredible stuff.
Yeah, it is pretty wild that they jacked the money up. But look at it today, what it's gotten to.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
2 nights in an outdoor stadium.
Yeah.
Dude, wild. Another celebrity of note, of course, is going to be the future president of the United States and the owner of the building you were in, Donald Trump. So, Jake, after terrorizing his wife the year prior, did you have any other interesting interactions with Trump?
Not too much, man. We just jawed a little bit, and I got along with him great, man. He loved me.
Oh, really?
He loves me, man.
What was it that connected you two right away?
I terrorized his wife. He absolutely loved it.
Pretty incredible.
He told me that she tried to get some of her security to come to my room and beat the shit out of me.
No shit.
Yeah, man. She's going to get payday.
Did the Don veto that shit?
Yeah.
So the future president of the U.S. saved your ass.
Damn sure did.
How about that? And guys, let's just think about this for a minute. Like Jake the Snake Roberts. I mean, you're like a real journeyman in wrestling. Here you are. You're bumping up against Muhammad Ali, Alice Cooper, and now you're with a guy who's going to be the leader of the free world. 30 years later.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome, bro.
Yes, insane. Well, look, I didn't want to let it slip by here that Terry Taylor is rebranded as the Red Rooster in the fall of 1988 after Bobby Heenan became his manager. Normally getting managed by Bobby would probably be considered a good thing, except early in his Red Rooster stint, Taylor was described by Heenan as a novice wrestler who could not navigate his way through matches without constant instruction from Heenan. He's going to defeat Heenan at WrestleMania 5, but the match only lasts 31 seconds. So... man, the gimmick is bad enough, and now he's not even really getting a match at Mania. What the hell did Terry do to piss off the office?
I don't know, bro. I don't know. Cock-a-doodle-doo, any cock-a-doo.
In your opinion, was his whole run here a rib, or do you think that Vince just has weird ideas for what might work?
It was a rib. It was a rib on Terry. It was for our entertainment.
Now, I know that, you were once told that Terry Taylor was higher up in the pecking order than you in Mid-South. So, personally, how did you feel when you were seeing Terry floundering on the biggest stage in wrestling?
I loved it. Of course I loved it.
I know a lot of fans are going to hear that and say, like, oh, well, that's hateful. But, man, it's like this is a super competitive business. You got kind of pushed down in favor of this guy, and now here he is on a way bigger stage. And, man, you can't blame you for feeling at least a little bit satisfied.
A little bit satisfied. I know, and I think most of the fans know that Terry was a good wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
He could go out and give you a good match anytime you wanted. This Red Rooster thing was just, wow. He pissed somebody off, is all I can say.
In your opinion, is there any way to make that gimmick work?
Fuck no.
It's fucked from day one, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So you said it, Terry, good looking guy, good worker, decent on the mic. Like, why do you think Vince is cutting off his nose despite his face here?
I have no idea, man. I have no idea. I'd sure like to know, but I don't know.
I want to ask you to try to climb inside the brain of Mr. McMahon and probably be a weird place.
It's a dangerous place these days.
It sure as hell is. Before we get into your match, though, Jake, let's talk about Hogan and Savage. A year-long program gets its big moment here. The Mega Powers explode at WrestleMania, and Hogan will defeat Savage to win the belt. Meltzer asserted that it was the wrong move because Savage was so red hot as a heel champion. It is traditionally a babyface territory, though. Jake, do you feel it was the right move to go put the belt back on Hogan?
I think you had to make the fans happy.
I mean, especially at a big show like that, Hogan's a proven draw.
That's your blow off. Mania is your blow off. So you gotta do what's right.
And I don't think it hurt Savage.
Fuck no.
I mean, a year-long story though, crazy, pretty unheard of, especially nowadays. But all that being said, 35 years later, WrestleMania between Cody and Roman Reigns, that's a year-long storyline that seems like we're gonna get our blow off here at Mania. Do you think that these should happen more often, or is once every decade or longer the way to go with these long storylines?
I love the long storyline. Absolutely love them. So that's the way they should be.
So if it were up to you, would every storyline have like 8 months or a year or longer?
Not every storyline. No.
But main event?
Some of your main events. It just depends on the storyline. Is it something that can last that long? Are the guys able to carry it that long?
Mm.
You got to look at your talent that's doing it.
One that jumps out at me for you is you and Steamboat. I think there was a lot of tread left on the tires.
Yeah. And me and Savage.
Hell yes, man. That one, if circumstances had been different, easily a year-long storyline.
Be a year.
Well, let's get to your match. It's the anticipated blow-off between you and Andre, and it's at the biggest show in wrestling. Doesn't get much better, does it, dude?
Not for me.
Let's have a look at the final moments of this one. Okay, Jake getting up onto the apron here. Big John Studd's trying to back Andre off. Andre's got you in a headbutt. And, oh boy, what a bump down to the outside there. You're down and out. Oh, but Big John having some words with Andre. Holy smokes, you can really see the difference in size between these two. By the way, guys, you can watch this match in its entirety on WWE Network. So definitely go and check it out to kind of get yourself set up here for what we're talking about. Jake, you're getting back up to your feet. Heenan's trying to point it out, but you're going for that bag with Damien. All right, Big John. Looks like he's going to be fair. He's trying to get you to knock it off. Ooh, and he gets a squisher from Andre in the corner. Oh, he's not putting up with that shit. Big John turns around and gives Andre a shove. Meanwhile, you're out there trying to decide if you want to bring out Damien or not. Oh, DiBiase and Virgil come out. Ted is that bastard. He's grabbing the bag, and he is running way up the aisle there. You're giving chase. Back in the ring. Oh, Andre's got a hold of Big John Studd. We got a split screen going on. You're brawling with DiBiase, and you've got Damien back. Andre's beating the dog shit out of Big John Studd. Oh, he's choking him. And here you come with that bag. There we go. That'll scare Andre off. You throw the snake into the ring. Andre bails. Yeah, he's gone. That's enough for Andre. All right, your hand is raised in victory. And that's it. Jake the Snake Roberts defeats Andre the Giant at WrestleMania. All right, 35 years later, Jake, anything jump out at you?
Yeah. I was getting my ass kicked. And I'll tell you, DiBiase didn't do me any favors either, grabbing that snake and running way down the aisle.
Oh, because you were already tired.
Yeah, I was already tired. Now I got to grab it and carry it back.
Do you think that was a rib from DiBiase?
Sure it was.
Later on this same week as this episode drops, I'm going to be talking to Ted about this event. So I'm going to make sure to ask him if that was a rib on you.
Yeah, dude. If he says it wasn't, call him a liar.
I mean, as you mentioned it, pretty clear-cut setup for you and Ted, and Andre was stud coming out of this. How do you feel about moving on to a program with DiBiase coming out of this one with Andre?
That was good news for me, man. That was great news for me.
Just because of the nature of the matches with Andre, where it's not going to be a technical situation?
Right. And I wanted to get in there and go, man.
Mm.
And DiBiase, I could do that with. I'd had my run with Andre. I think it was time for it to blow off. And hey, Look at me. WrestleMania 5. Who did I beat? Andre the Giant.
Dude, like, what a thing on your resume. One of the biggest WrestleManias of all time, and you beat a dude who's become a true, like, he transcends wrestling culture. It's a, pop culture icon.
Absolutely.
Well, if you had it your way, would anything have been different about this match?
Sure, I would have press slammed Andre.
Wouldn't that be a nice finish?
Yeah, one-handed.
Do you think a clean finish would have made more sense? You just get him with the DDT?
I think the right thing was done.
Yeah.
Got enough out of it.
You protect Andre, let him keep his heat going into his thing with Stud.
There's no need to beat Andre.
Well, how about looking back on the entire rivalry with Andre? Anything you'd change?
No. He did a fantastic job, man.